So, you really want to edit like Benny Productions, right? I have good news and bad news for you. You really did well by clicking on this thumbnail, and you didn't really do well by clicking on this thumbnail because every single tip I'm about to give you wasn't given to me by Benny Productions. It was basically from my own speculations after watching his videos for almost a year and after getting over 17 billion requests to make his tutorial each and every single time. If this seems interesting to you, I guess then just wait, let me roll up this intro, then we get right into it. You're welcome to this thing I call a channel called Reed. My name is Reed and I am going to be your host. This is where I talk filmmaking, VFX, whatever just comes into my mind or whatever I just feel like doing. Benjamin Van Valen. Now, this guy has inspired me since I started my creative journey, since I discovered his channel. He hasn't only inspired me in his own aspect, that's Photoshop, even in video editing. Benjamin Van Valen is kind of the best in what he does, and he does it in his own way. But today, I am about to expose all the secrets to editing videos like him. Disclaimer, each and every single tip I'm about to give you was not given to me by Benny. I haven't really heard Benny even revealing the secrets to his editing tips and stuff. I just watched his videos for almost a year, just noticed how his stuff go, and then my speculations and my brain power and my whatever the hell that you guys call it, I just used it to find out these tips for you guys. If you haven't subscribed, I would advise that you do that. Leave a like and leave a comment in the comment section. It really helps a lot. It helps the algorithm find new viewers for this channel. So without any further ado, let's jump right into tip number one. Number one, learn how to manipulate and change stock footages into whatever you feel like. Now, let me tell you one thing. I don't think Benny was really trained as a video editor. I think he was. I don't think he was trained as a filmmaker. What he depends on is Envato elements. That's basically the secret. Every single thing he does. He finds a piece of stock footage on the internet. Then he finds a way to creatively manipulate it in a way that you wouldn't think this was a stock video on the internet. Taking his 2021 teaser, for example, it was made completely out of stock videos. But he found a way to customize it, add his logos to some parts of the video, and you wouldn't really even think this was a stock video. Now, when I say manipulating stock videos, I don't really think I mean changing the stock video to fit whatever it's more like just converting. Let's say you can convert a day footage to a night footage, adding your logo to some parts, adding smoke. Just try to make it not look as if you just picked it out of somewhere. That's what makes Benny unique. He picks random stock footage from Envato Elements or any stock site which he has registered to, which I know is Envato Elements. Then he finds a way to creatively manipulate it, gives it the Benny look, which then kind of makes it unique and special. And moving on to tip number two, Benny shoots and edits in 60 frames per second. He shoots and edits in 60 frames per second, and one plus, which isn't really confirmed, he shoots at a very high shutter speed. Before you shoot, I'm not really an expert in DSLR cameras because I'm using a phone currently. I haven't bought or I haven't even gotten a DSLR, or I haven't even had the chance to work with a DSLR. But theoretically, when you're shooting at 60 frames per second, your shutter speed should be somewhere 125. That's 1/125 or 1/120. That's double of frames per second, or the frame rates that you're shooting at. Now, let me explain this simple technical terms for you. What is frames per second? Let me explain frames per second in a professional way and in a layman's way. Now, in a professional way, frames per second is the number of frames that appears in a video per second. But in the layman's language, you know, a video is basically made up of pictures that move in a sequential order to create a video, right? Now, what the frames per second means is that the number of pictures that appear in a second inside a video. Simple. So if you have the less number of pictures that are inside your video, then the less crispy or the less, I don't know. You can see how boring mine is because it's shooting at 30, I think, because this is just phone which doesn't even have the chance to regulate your frames per second and stuff. But if you're shooting with 60 FPS, you see the video just has more frames to play with, so it makes your video kind of look crisp. Now, what is shutter speed? Shutter speed basically controls motion blur. And if you don't know what motion blur again is, I think take a look at this hand. Let me start waving it. You can see my hand isn't really that crispy because I don't even know what shutter speed this phone is shooting at. By shooting at very low shutter speed, so that's why you can see the blur on my hand and stuff. But if I was shooting at a very high shutter speed, like 1/125 or 1/100 and 1/ like something else, you wouldn't really be seeing that much of motion blur. That is basically what Benny does. He shoots in a very high frame rate and he shoots in a very high shutter speed, which eliminates that much of motion blur. Now, I'm going to show you how to edit inside a 60 FPS timeline inside After Effects. I wish I could have done that with the DSLR, but I'm very sorry I don't have a DSLR here. So let's jump into After Effects. Let me show you how to create a 60 FPS timeline with ease. Now, here in After Effects, the simplest way to create a 60 FPS timeline is just to click on a new composition or press Ctrl N. Now, when you click on that, it's going to give you all these parameters which I've already covered up in my After Effects 101 class. Come to this here, that's the frame rate where you can pick. We now have 59.94 and 60 and 120. It depends on how you want to edit your video or how crisp you want your video to be. So I'm just going to click on 60 and then I'm going to leave my stuff on the way it is, and then I'm going to click on OK, and then I've created a 60 FPS composition. So for tip number 3, it uses easy ease each and every single time. Now I'm going to explain that with the graph editor so you guys would understand how Benny makes his videos look so epic with the easy ease. Now he just doesn't do this easy ease alone, he does it and he adjusts it in any way possible. So now let's jump into After Effects and work in our 60 FPS timeline. Inside After Effects, what I'm just going to do is I'm going to create 3 spheres. Now I'm just going to create a simple animation for these 3 spheres like this. So now we have a simple animation like this. Now I'm going to open the graph editor and I'll show you the difference between easy ease and keyframes which aren't really easy ease. Now in the graph editor, I'm going to pick the position property for this one. Now you can see how it really looks. It looks squared like this. Now this also looks squared and this also looks squared. Now all of them are going to arrive at the right time, but it's what happens during the journey that is what makes it look epic. So here I'm going to easy ease, or I'm going to leave this here as just block keyframes rather, and here I'm going to easy ease everything like this. I'm going to double click on the position and then I'm going to press F9 to easy ease everything. Now when I open the graph editor, you see what happens. It's going to change it from a block to something curvy like this, which when I play back you'll understand what it really means by that. Let me just change this to quarter, and then I'm going to do the same thing for this. I'm going to easy ease this, and then I'm going to adjust the keyframe. In case this doesn't really appear inside your After Effects version, it's very simple. All you need to do is click here and then just show edit speed graph. You have to click on edit speed graph so it can appear on yours. So now I'm going to make the beginning of this one kind of move fast and the ending kind of moving slow like this. So we now have a peak inside our animation, goes in like this and then it comes out like this. So now let me play back all of them and then you're going to see the difference. They all arrive at the same time, but because of the easy ease and all those adjustments I made, look at how all of them have arrived. Let me just end this here so you guys can see that clearly. You get the vibe. So now which one are you going to pick? Are you going to deal with the easy ease, or you're going to deal with block keyframes, or you're going to deal with adjusted keyframes with easy ease and stuff? But this is not the only way you can adjust your keyframes. You can adjust your keyframes in any way possible. So moving on to tip number 4. Now for tip number 4, I think I was also confused in the beginning until I noticed one simple kind of, it's not a mistake, I saw it to be a mistake until I finally found out that it wasn't really a mistake. Benny doesn't do 3D, not anymore. At first he used to do 3D, but not anymore. Benny deals with 2D assets. He only uses 3D camera inside After Effects to make them feel 3D. As I already explained in one of his videos, that's the new intro which you guys just saw in the beginning that I intentionally used because I wanted to look like Benny. Everything was a 2D asset, but since I'm not a 2D the Photoshop artist, I decided to create everything like the icons in 3D, and then I brought them back into After Effects, used 2D and 3D camera tracking inside After Effects, and then made everything look 3D with the depth of field and everything. Benny doesn't do 3D. All he does is create 2D elements inside Photoshop, and then he uses the 3D camera inside After Effects to make all of them feel or look 3D. Now, if you don't understand that one, I don't think I have any way to explain to you because I've lost all the project files for the other projects. I think I would have just loved to show it to you, but here's the case, I don't have it. So moving on to point number 5, motion blur. Now this is basically what just seals everything Benny does. Even though the motion blur in his videos aren't really that much, or they don't make his videos look real, that is basically what just adds the realism inside his video. Now this is very sarcastic, and if you don't understand, I don't know any other way to explain to you, but Benny adds motion blur to each and every single thing that he does. It seals the realism. Now I don't really do this in the beginning of a project because it's going to make my project lag that much and I'll feel like throwing my PC away like how I almost did. I always like to add it at the end. So now whenever you finish all your animations or whenever you finish doing all your stuff inside After Effects and then you are to render, let's jump into After Effects and I'll show you how to add motion blur. There's only one simple way to add motion blur. All you need to do is toggle this icon here and then motion blur is enabled. So I'm going to turn on motion blur for this one and then I'm going to duplicate. So now I have these two carrying the same keyframe traits, right? So now I'm going to turn motion blur on for one and then I'm going to leave one. You wouldn't really see the difference now until I zoom in or whenever the animation is in its highest peak. Now look beside here. Let me change this to full quality so you guys can really have a look at it. Now look at this edge and look at this edge. It just gives it the realism that it really needs in order to just finish up an animation. Tip number 6. Now you're expecting the tip, right? This isn't a tip. You have to be Benny. Yes, you have to be Benny in order to edit like Benny Productions. You can't edit like Benny Productions. You can edit like Benny Productions, but I wouldn't advise that you edit like Benny Productions. Find your own style of editing. It's always good to be unique. We just hope on the way, or on our career journey, we'd find our own ways of editing and not copy Benny anymore. Not take almost every single thing or not like get 1,000,000,000% inspired by Benny. I just hope I find my own unique creative way of editing and I hope you do too. I think this is going to be the last video I'm going to be making about Benny until he creates something more epic and not really aligned to whatever he does each and every single time. So please, people who have been requesting that I do Benny's studios, Benny's tutorials and stuff, I've sealed this judgment. Nobody has to ask me for Benny's tutorials or anything anymore because I've just sealed it with his tips and tricks to editing like him. So if you really found this video helpful or for no reason you've watched to this part of the video, you know this video really deserves a like and you know how stressful I go through just to make videos for you guys. Just hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I post exciting content like these. It really helps you to find my videos faster before someone just comes and comments first to view this or something. Like, I don't really know what that really adds, but it sounds cool. It's cool now. Till the next episode, keep realistifying your creative ideas. I hope I see you in my next video. Peace out. And please follow my Instagram. It's Leopard Studios for the business account and I'm Reed for my personal account. Like, I'll leave all links in the description. So bye.